Have you ever felt scared, not of failure, but of who you could become if you actually succeeded? It's strange, isn't it? You want to speak English fluently. You watch videos. You imagine the confident version of you, standing tall, smiling, speaking without fear. But when that version shows up in your mind, you don't feel inspired. You feel uncomfortable, almost exposed. That's not because your dream is too big. It's because your current identity wasn't built to carry it. The future you, the fluent one, they don't just speak better, they expect more. They don't wait, they don't hide, they don't make the same excuses. And that can feel like a threat, not to your future, but to your comfort. What if I told you the fear you feel isn't a sign to stop, but a signal to begin? That fear is not your enemy, it's your invitation to upgrade your life, not just your English. To confront the parts of you that have been waiting silently for permission to finally evolve. In this video, you won't just learn English. You'll face the identity that's been quietly holding you back. And by the end, you may realize the version of you that scares you the most. That's actually your first true ally. She didn't realize it at first. It felt like inspiration, a YouTube video, a sentence in English she didn't fully understand, but it made her heart race. What if that version of me already exists? That's when the silence inside her broke, because deep down she knew that future self wasn't just a dream. It was a challenge. The fear didn't come from the grammar. It came from the voice she heard in that video, and realizing it could have been hers. She whispered, almost trembling, "I can speak English like that." But that sentence felt dangerous, not because it was hard to say, but because it made her old excuses shake. She was meeting a version of herself that no longer needed permission. The strange part is, it's not English that scares you. It's what fluency represents: freedom, power, visibility. That future you threatens the person you've been for years. The quiet one, the insecure one, the one who says, "I'm just not confident." When you speak English, you're not just learning vocabulary, you're learning to be seen. You start to feel something called identity dissonance. It's the moment your brain says, "Wait, if I become her, I can't keep being this me." Suddenly, your excuses feel heavy in your mouth. "I don't have time. I'm too old. I'm not good at languages." And yet none of those sound honest anymore. They sound like fear in costume. She opened her notebook and wrote in shaky English, "What excuses disappear when I grow?" And the answer came quietly: almost all of them. Because growth doesn't only remove limits, it removes justifications. And that's painful, because sometimes we fall in love with our limitations. They protect us from responsibility. They keep us safe, but small. And here's something nobody tells you. Growing feels like betrayal. She felt like she was abandoning the old her. The girl who cried after English class, the girl who stayed silent in meetings, the girl who whispered dreams to herself at night, but never dared to say them out loud. But that version of her didn't need to lead anymore. She just needed to be thanked. So she said in English, "Thank you for surviving, but now I'll take it from here." And then came the moment of irreversible clarity. That future version of her, the one who speaks with confidence, who gets the job, who travels and teaches and inspires. She wasn't just an idea, she was a mirror, and mirrors don't lie. She finally admitted something she had avoided for years. The future me scares me because she tells the truth I've been hiding. And with her hand on her heart, she finally said it. One honest sentence in English, not perfect, but real. "I want to be proud of myself." And in that sentence, the timeline shifted. Because when you tell the truth in a new language, you're not just learning to speak, you're learning to become. And that's where the real story begins. She doesn't want to scare you. She just wants you to see what's possible. Your future self, the one who speaks fluent English, who walks into interviews without shaking, who answers confidently in meetings, she's not judging you. But every time you imagine her, something inside tightens. Not because she's unrealistic, but because she's you, without the excuses. If you really want to stay the same, here's the trick. Never imagine that version of you speaking fluently. Avoid her at all costs. Don't visualize the smile on her face when she gets the job. Don't picture her ordering coffee abroad, laughing, connecting. Why? Because if you do, your current potential will start screaming, and then you won't be able to unsee it. Avoidance has many costumes. One of the most popular is, "I'm not ready." She used it all the time. It sounds smart, even responsible, but the truth, readiness is a lie the brain tells to delay becoming. You're never ready. Fluency begins when you open your mouth, even if the words come out wrong. Say something now. Even just, "I'm doing this scared." Your future self knows the truth. The only comparison that matters is the one with yesterday. But still, you scroll and compare yourself to people who started years before you. You punish yourself for not being them. But today, just for one day, shift the game. Say in English, "Today I speak better than I did yesterday." Because that's all growth really is. See, if you want to avoid responsibility, it's easy. Just tell yourself that one day you'll change, but do nothing today. Pretend that watching videos is enough. Convince yourself that understanding is the same as action. But deep down, you know better. So here's your micro task. Do one small thing today your future self would thank you for. Just one. It could be as simple as speaking one sentence out loud or writing a tiny English journal entry like, "I am afraid of change, but I'm trying," or shadowing a voice from a podcast for 2 minutes. These micro actions may look small, but they're like opening a locked door from the inside. That's how people become fluent. Not all at once, but moment by moment. Because every time you do what you've been avoiding, you shift the timeline. Your future self isn't waiting for perfection, she's waiting for action. And the moment you take one step, she gets closer. She's not a fantasy. She's your consequence. And she's whispering, even now, you know what to do. And if you're still unsure what that is, just ask yourself one question. What have I been pretending not to know? The answer is already inside you. And guess what? It speaks English. But if that voice feels too powerful to face right now, wait until you see what happens when it speaks back. She wasn't looking for transformation. It was just another night. Her phone in one hand, the light off, the silence loud. She tapped on a video, a woman speaking English fluently with presence and calm power. But instead of feeling inspired, she froze. Her stomach tightened. Because that voice, it sounded like the one hiding inside her. The emotion didn't feel like envy. It felt like exposure. Because when you see someone doing what you know you're meant to do, it doesn't make you jealous. It makes you remember. That pain in her chest wasn't admiration. It was memory. The memory of a future she'd been avoiding. Her eyes filled with tears, not because the woman was better, but because she wasn't. What she didn't know was that her brain had just activated something powerful. Mirror neurons. It's a psychological mechanism that makes you feel what others feel, as if their experience were yours. So when she saw that woman speak, her brain whispered, "This is possible for us too." That whisper carried both fear and hope. At the same time, she paused the video. Her finger hovered over close. Her mind wanted to shut it down. Too much, too soon. She thought, who am I to think I could be her? But that thought didn't come from truth. It came from panic. And panic is a sign that your old identity feels threatened. So she did something radical. She re-watched it. Twice. She didn't understand every word. That didn't matter. She repeated one sentence out loud, slowly, quietly. "I believe I can speak like this one day." The sentence cracked something open. She didn't need perfect grammar. She needed to hear her own voice commit to something bigger. A 1-minute video became a mirror and a microphone. But fear came back the next day, while doing dishes, while scrolling social media. That little voice again, what if you never become her? But now, something inside had changed. She knew what that fear meant. It meant the door had opened, just a little, and it was time to walk through, even shaking. So she started a ritual. Every night, one English video, just one. Not to understand everything, not to master the language, but to mirror someone, to become familiar with the version of herself that used to feel distant. And at the end of every video, she repeated one line out loud, not perfectly, but with belief, until one night, she didn't pause the video. She didn't panic. She didn't question. She just looked at the screen and said, clear and soft, "I can be her." Nah, and in that moment, the woman on the screen stopped being a stranger. She became a memory of the version she was always meant to become. And now, that version was waking up. Fear gets a bad reputation. Most people think it means stop. But psychologists know something different. When your brain detects change, real, irreversible change, it sets off internal alarms. Not to stop you, but to test you. That fear you feel before speaking English, that's not danger. That's growth activation. There's a moment right before you say your first English sentence out loud when your body reacts, palms sweat, stomach flips, voice trembles. That's not weakness. It's biology. Your nervous system is preparing for unfamiliar territory. You're not broken. You're evolving. So next time you feel that tension, label it out loud. This is growth activation. Here's where it gets deeper. In Jungian psychology, there's a concept called the shadow. It's the hidden part of you that holds fear, shame, and old pain. Often it's the reason we avoid speaking, not because we can't, but because speaking reveals us. And maybe, just maybe, someone once made you feel small, unsafe, unheard. That wound, it's still guarding you. But wounds don't heal through silence. They heal through expression. That's why English becomes more than a language. It becomes a doorway. Today, try this. Say one sentence out loud that names your fear. Like, I'm afraid people will laugh at my accent, or I'm scared I'll sound stupid. And when you say it, notice something. The fear loses its grip. Your brain has another trick. It makes false predictions. It shows you images of embarrassment, failure, judgment, not because it hates you, but because it's trying to keep you safe using old data. It doesn't show you success because it hasn't seen it yet. That's not prophecy. That's programming. And programming can be rewritten. How challenge it? Speak for 30 seconds, talk to yourself, describe your day, repeat lines from a podcast, sing a lyric. The moment your vocal cords move, you send your brain a new signal. This is safe now. The prediction system updates. That's how new habits begin, through micro-defiance of old fears. And one day, without even realizing it, your present self and future self will stop fighting. They'll begin working together. You'll feel the shift. Not in your grammar, but in your emotional posture. You won't be chasing fluency anymore. You'll be collaborating with it, like two versions of you finally shaking hands. To test this right now, do one thing. Identify one trait your future self has. Maybe it's courage, maybe it's discipline, maybe it's humor. Then imitate that trait for the next hour. Don't wait. Embody it now, because integration doesn't happen later. It happens the moment you stop seeing your future self as a stranger and start seeing her as your partner. Did you enjoy the content and it made a difference for you? Click on Super Thanks and support our work. Most people think their future self will be easier to live with, kinder, more relaxed. But here's the truth. They're not softer, they're stricter. Your future self isn't more comfortable. They're more courageous. They expect more from you, not because they're harsh, but because they know exactly what you're capable of. And they refuse to let you shrink. You've been waiting for the right moment to speak English, but your future self doesn't believe in perfect timing. They believe in messy beginnings. They believe in stumbling, mumbling, blushing, but speaking anyway. So say one English sentence now. Doesn't matter what. Try, I speak even when I'm scared. Because they won't wait for your fear to pass. They'll expect you to move with it. They also expect you to be brutally honest, not polite with yourself. Honest about what you want, about what hurts, about how long you've been pretending. So here's a challenge. Write one English sentence you've avoided saying. Maybe it's, I want to be free, or I'm tired of being invisible. Your future self doesn't want you to be perfect. They want you to be real. And here's the hardest truth. Your future self doesn't wait for motivation. They move before it shows up. You've been trained to wait until you feel ready. But the future you is already acting, even on tired days, even when it's boring. So try this. Make one English-related decision now. Don't overthink. Watch one video. Say one phrase. Post one sentence. Just decide. But perhaps the most surprising demand is this. Your future self asks you to let go, not to add more. Let go of needing to sound smart. Let go of comparing your English to others. Let go of the pressure to get it right. Becoming her isn't about stacking more skills. It's about shedding what no longer serves your identity. Ask yourself now, what habit is blocking your growth? Is it translating in your head before you speak? Is it hiding behind subtitles? Is it telling people, my English is bad, before you even try? Drop just one today. Your future self doesn't have time for your self-sabotage. She's too busy building something bigger, and you'll notice this version of you has higher standards, not for your grammar, but for your consistency. She doesn't care if your sentences are short. She cares if you show up. She doesn't want you fluent in 3 months. She wants you engaged every day. So when you say, I want to become her, understand what that really means. Discipline, honesty, and action. She's not waiting for you to deserve her. She's waiting for you to step up. And when you do, even imperfectly, you'll feel it. That click, that shift. Like stepping into a room you didn't think you were allowed to enter, and realizing you've had the key all along. But the key only works if you use it. There's a specific fear that shows up right before something important. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's a quiet physical tension, like standing at the edge of a diving board. You look down, and everything in your body says, don't jump. That's what happens right before you speak English. But the truth is, you're not scared of words. You're scared of what happens after you say them. This moment has a name. It's called the voice threshold effect. It's the psychological wall your mind builds before you do something that could change how people see you, or how you see you. Once you cross that wall, everything shifts. So here's your experiment. Speak now, even a whisper, even alone. Break that threshold. It's not the sound that matters. It's the decision. You might not know this, but your brain has a switch, literally. Neuroscientists have shown that when your vocal cords move, your brain shifts from fear mode to action mode. That means the second you start speaking, even badly, your fear starts shrinking. So next time you hesitate, do this. Count 3, 2, 1 and speak one phrase. You'll feel it, that chemical switch. Click. What you say matters less than how you say it, because your voice carries identity, your tone, your rhythm, your energy. They all come from the image you hold of yourself. If you speak like someone who's still hiding, your brain believes you're still hiding. But if you speak like your future self, calm, clear, grounded, something extraordinary happens. Identity resonance. Try this right now. Say a sentence with the tone of your future self. It could be simple, I'm learning every day, or my voice deserves space. And say it like you mean it. Your brain doesn't speak English or your native language. It speaks emotion. And when your words and your voice align, your self-image changes. Something beautiful happens when you start hearing your own transformation. The sound of your voice becomes an echo of change. It's proof. You might not notice it on day 1, but record a 20-second voice log today, then another next week. In a month, listen back. You'll hear it. A shift not just in fluency, but in frequency. That's why fluency is never just about vocabulary. It's about becoming someone who speaks even when it's uncomfortable, someone who dares to sound uncertain, someone who chooses visibility over silence. That choice, to speak anyway, is the moment your transformation begins, and your brain knows it. So, the next time you hesitate to speak English, don't ask yourself, am I ready? Ask, am I willing to cross the threshold? Because that fear, it's not your enemy, It's your invitation. And just wait until you discover who's waiting for you on the other side. She had the potential. That wasn't the problem. In fact, she was probably better than most people already learning English. More intuitive, more sensitive, more driven. But she had one habit that silently destroyed everything. She stayed quiet. Not because she didn't care, but because she didn't want to sound wrong. And that silence, it disguised her power as invisibility. The danger isn't in trying and failing. It's in never trying out loud. You could be fluent in 2 years, maybe even 1, but if you never speak, if you never use your voice, your future dies quietly. Every day she said nothing. She was becoming the person she feared the most, the version of herself who almost did it, but didn't. And here's the trap. She kept waiting to feel confident, as if confidence would arrive like a delivery package. Knock, knock. Here's your fluency. But confidence doesn't come first. Action does. She had to learn this. You speak first, and the confidence arrives later, like a shadow following movement. So she said it out loud one day. I will not wait to feel ready. There's a pattern most people fall into. Identity stagnation. You stay who you are because you're afraid of losing what feels safe. But that comfort is an illusion. It's the slow death of potential. So she broke the pattern. One tiny act of rebellion, recording a 15-second message, sending it to a language partner, even if it was awkward. The feeling after? Freedom. Ask yourself this. What would your future self never accept? Would they tolerate 1 more week of watching videos but never speaking? Would they let you scroll in bed, telling yourself tomorrow? No, they wouldn't. They'd demand one thing from you today. Activation. That's where the power is. Not in doing it all, but in doing something. So she started breaking the silence, 1 minute a day, no pressure, just speaking, out loud, about her morning, her feelings, her fears, and slowly the voice she used to hide became a friend. The silence wasn't scary anymore. It was sacred. It became the place where her real self stepped forward. She realized something powerful. Every time she acted with intention, her entire life shifted by a fraction. Not just her English, her mindset, her posture, her energy. It's like pressing record on your real self. 1 sentence a day, spoken, declared. It changed her biology, her timeline, her direction. So now, each morning, she begins with 1 sentence. It can be messy, it can be whispered, but it must be hers. Because the moment she opens her mouth, she's not just practicing English, she's activating identity. And once you start doing that, there's no going back, only forward, toward the one who's been waiting. Why do you fear me? The voice asked. Not harshly, gently, like an echo that had waited years to be heard. She paused. She wanted to lie, to say, I don't fear you, but that wasn't true. So she breathed and answered in English. I fear change because it means losing who I was. And just like that, the conversation with her future self began. Why do you hide from me? The voice continued. Because being invisible feels safer than being extraordinary, she whispered. Because if I try and fail, it will hurt more than never trying. Her future self smiled, not in judgment but in understanding, because she knew the truth, that hiding is more exhausting than becoming. Do you know who I am? The voice asked again. She hesitated, then said, You're the version of me who doesn't apologize for existing. Then added another sentence, quietly but clearly. You're the proof that my desire is real, and that it was never crazy. For the first time, she didn't feel shame when imagining her future self. She felt respect. She imagined her, standing tall, speaking English fluently, laughing at her own mistakes, helping others grow. And she described her out loud in 2 sentences. She's courageous, not because she's fearless, but because she acts anyway. And she's honest, brutally honest, about what she wants from life. That description, it didn't feel like a fantasy anymore. It felt like a memory from the future. When will you join me? Her future self asked. And something inside her shifted. It wasn't a deadline. It was an invitation. Not to be perfect, not to be fluent, but to start. She stood up, placed her hand over her heart, and said the first sentence that came to her mind, "I'm becoming you now." It wasn't magic, but it was real. That night, she did something different. Instead of closing her English notebook, she opened it, wrote one sentence in English she wanted to live by. It wasn't advanced, it wasn't polished, but it was hers. "I will not abandon myself anymore." That sentence, more than any lesson or grammar rule, changed her trajectory. And suddenly, the fear that had followed her for years transformed into something else, companionship. She realized that her future self hadn't been chasing her to push her, but to walk with her. Not a threat, not a shadow, but an ally. Someone who had been whispering all along, "You are allowed to become everything you imagine." So before sleeping, she whispered one last sentence in English, a sentence her future self would say. Something simple, personal, grounded. "It's okay to begin again." And in that quiet moment, she wasn't afraid anymore. She was becoming, and that made all the difference. So now, take a deep breath. Look at your hands, your life, your voice, and ask yourself, what am I really waiting for? Another course, a perfect accent, the right time? Or am I just afraid of becoming someone who can no longer hide behind fear? English is not just a language, it's a mirror, a key, a ritual. Every word you speak moves you closer to, or further from, the life you're meant to live. This isn't about being perfect, it's about showing up, choosing intention over avoidance, choosing evolution over repetition. Who would you be if you stopped running from the version of you who actually takes action? What truth have you been avoiding that's ready to be spoken? Not someday, but today. What's one sentence your future self would say right now? Say it, write it, own it, drop it in the comments, because the people who speak, even imperfectly, are the ones who shift their entire lives. And if this video gave you even one spark of truth, don't keep it to yourself. Leave a comment, like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and keep learning English, not just with your brain, but with your soul. This is not just a channel, it's your space for rebirth, and you're already on the path.